Hello and welcome to an ARC review. So today's review will be on a book entitled Chapel of the Falcon and Other Stories by Matt Spencer. Now I found this book over on Book Sirens. It's my primary location of where to find ARC reads. A lot of people use NetGalley. I haven't really got around to doing that yet, so I signed up for NetGalley today. And you can't import your reviews from anywhere else, so your score is at 0. So if you're going to apply for any ARCs on NetGalley, you have to start applying for them solely on there. Which I already have a load of ARCs to read, so I'm not going to bother. I could get published because NetGalley is a way to contact publishers. I'm just not going to bother. So Book Sirens is usually my go-to where I get my ARCs, and this was no different. I saw this, it was the cover art. The cover art got me. Because, I mean, look at it. It's dark, it's gritty, it's intriguing, there's something about it that just caught my eye, and I went to read the blurb. So, let's get into the blurb. As proprietor of the Devil's Draft pub, Frederick Hawthorne's made all sorts of friends and enemies, not all of them exactly human. Least of all, whatever haunts the crumbling old countryside chapel where he's found himself, or the winged green lady who keeps turning up everywhere he goes. At least she seems to be on his side, which is a good thing, considering they've both just walked into the middle of a vicious feud, stretching all the way back to the witch trials of the 17th century. This is a collection of 7 sharp-toothed tales of demons, dragons, red-handed outlaws, and other travellers of worlds and ages. And it is I would say a short story collection, but the first one is more like a mini novella. That blurb that I read out, that is the first story and the title story, Chapel of the Falcon. Now, these 7 stories are completely different, but they have a thin thread of connection through them. They're not directly connected to each other, but or at least in my opinion, they're not entirely disconnected. So, as this is an ARC, there are no spoilers going to be in this. I am going to say a little about each of the stories that are in this collection, skirting around any spoilers, and you'll see if you like it or not. Because that's what I do with ARCs. I make a video of them, and the people watching get to add them to their TBRs, because I am all about adding to other people's TBRs, as well as my own. So, as I said, the first story is entitled Chapel of the Falcon, and I loved this story. The build-up, the flashbacks, I am not sure of anything at the beginning, and by the end I am sure of even less. But in a very good way. So Frederick Hawthorne is our main character. He is our only point of view. And at first I thought he was like this kind of a 1930s kind of, not exactly a gangster, but somebody who could clean up messes professionally without there being too much uproar or observations around it. But I still had that feeling at the end, but it was twisted. Everything is supernatural in the human world. Frederick is our main character. He is our only point of view, as I said, and somehow he is mysterious at the beginning, because of course you don't know him, and then by the end of it he's somehow even more mysterious and we know even less about him. But it works. The Green Lady, as I mentioned, you never really get to know much about her, but what Frederick has to do he goes to this Chapel of the Falcon. There's all this mystery around it. There's a lot of things are happening, and you get quite a really interesting history lesson about that particular area and the particular... I want to say she's a witch, but I don't think she is one. But yeah, you do get transported to kind of the 17th century in America, I think. I think it is in America. And the church is the focal point. The church, the basement, what is in there, what can be called up, and what can be put down. I'm being vague on purpose because if I say anything about what is going on, more than being a bit vague, I will give it away. And I don't want to because it's an arc and I don't want to spoil it. But Frederick, fantastic main character. And I really liked that first story. What a first story to kick off the collection with. Now, the second story is called Diary of a Captive Demon. I didn't like it. It is exactly what it says, mundane ramblings of a demon who is in captivity. We don't find out much about what's going on. We are locked in that one space, and the demon in captivity has taken to whiling away the time by writing in this diary. I didn't like it. It didn't seem to fit. When I got to the end of it, it didn't seem to fit with the other stories that were in there. It is very different. So if you're not keen on it, I would carry on regardless. The third story is Dragons on the Backroads, and I thought this was a lot of fun. It doesn't really connect with the other ones like Diary of a Captive Demon doesn't, but this was fun. This was a snapshot and it was fun. It's whimsical, and if you've ever sort of looked up into the trees or you've tried to make a shape or a face in the clouds, or even if you've looked across the room in your dark bedroom and thought that the pile of clothes on your desk chair was actually a person standing in the corner of your room because your eyes play tricks on you, this is a book for you. Because in this short story, two friends, Liam and Bird, are on a drinking sesh and they're getting high. Somehow they end up offending a dragon and having to go retrieve this dragon's hoard. It's quick, it's fun, and I really, really liked it. I would prefer a bigger book or a bigger story surrounding that whole thing, because one of them friends is far too comfortable dealing with these supernatural elements. They're supposed to be regular guys. There's something odd. But I thought it was a lot of fun. I would have liked it to go on longer. I thought it was fun. It's just a whimsical little story, and I liked it. The next story up is called Some Way Home. This, more than anything, reiterates the whole fairy tale adage of not making bargains with strange women in the woods. Don't do it. It doesn't turn out well for anybody involved. It never does. Whatever bargains you make in these woods, it doesn't go well for you. I liked the setting, I liked how it happened, and what happens at the end, I didn't even see coming. This guy gets the country that they're in, it's in like a civil war. He is of a bandit faction. They get jumped. He is the only survivor. That happens on the first page, so that's not a spoiler. He wanders into the woods, finds this cottage, meets this woman, agrees to a bargain, and gets between her and her ex-lover. And then from then on, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Just don't make bargains with strange women in the local forests. Or in any forest, come to think of it. The next story up is called The River Camp. And this is it's weird, but it's good. I don't get along with science fiction. It's not what I would call science fiction, even though it's got time and reality distortion. It's not written in kind of a science fiction way. Mitch is our main character, he is our point of view, and the poor guy just wants to go to the local bar, chat up the barmaid, and have a beer. But his erstwhile friend Hank has other ideas of how Mitch is going to spend his evening. It starts off chaotic, it goes through chaotic, and it ends weird. But I liked it. The next story up is Just Like Uncle Joel Said. And this is kind of I want to say kind of a dystopian reality, we're in the same kind of country as the previous book, as in Somewhere Home, but I think it's not as fantastical, it's more dystopian. And in this one, we are with 3 different characters. We are with Sabrina, Hal, and Gloria. And they are making their way to Brattleboro in Vermont. I don't know whether that's a real place. My American knowledge of geography isn't that good. But Brattleboro, by the time you get to this story, you will have heard that name a lot. I think it's sort of mentioned in the background of all of them, I think, because by the time I got to this point, I couldn't remember, but it seemed familiar, so I think I did. The reason why it's a dystopian setting is there is a war gone on between gods and goddesses and their factions, and one faction has just lost. However, that god is dead. Not a spoiler, it doesn't have any impact. But the faction that has just lost their god is not willing to accept that they've lost, and is hunting down the winners. And everybody's congregating, trying to get to this place. And the journey is perilous. The ending is ambiguous. And I enjoyed my ride with this lot. It was weird, it was dark, and I really, really liked it. And the character Sabrina can kick ass. And then we get to the last story, and my favourite of the whole bunch. And that is And the Madness Demanded a Shape. And this is definitely set in the witch trials. And the idea of the 2 main characters in it, being on opposing sides with deadly consequences. I'm trying to dance around it so much. But being drawn to each other, even when the consequences could be dire for everybody involved. I really, really liked it. It had everything I wanted from it. In my opinion, it wasn't long enough. I would have liked a bit more with that, but that's simply because it was my favourite and I didn't want it to end. So, if you didn't tell already, I really, really enjoyed this collection of short stories. If you've watched some of my videos dealing with books that are short story collections, you will know that none of them ever get 5 stars, not even King's. But this, I liked every story except one, and for me it gets 4 stars because I really, really liked it. And although we're doing Don't Die July at the minute, and this isn't horror as you would think, I would say it's more dark fantasy. But it does have a little bit of horror elements. There are some body horror in it, which we'll get to in a minute. Each story was just unique and intriguing. The religious aspect of goddesses and gods, it wasn't like fluffy, like sometimes it's made out to be. This was dark and earthy, especially the first story, Chapel of the Falcon. Now, these are short stories, so they're not overly descriptive, and you could say that short stories don't have much atmosphere. The atmosphere was perfect. It was built, but it didn't feel like it was built too quickly, and you really felt drawn in to finding out what was happening. And there is magic throughout these stories, and it's interwoven beautifully. It is not magic as you would say, it's fluffy and people use it. No. This is earthy magic. It is raw, it is powerful, and it doesn't usually go well for the user. Ultimately, I enjoyed my time with this book and I would recommend it to anybody. Now, as this is Don't Die July, let's have a look at our scorecard. So let's see we already have crossed off a few. Let's cross off a few more. So, there are demons in this, so we can cross off Reveal Thyself Demon. I could probably cross off The End is Near for an apocalypse because one story is set in a dystopian thing. It didn't really feel like the end is near, so we'll leave that one. I Like It Noah-sized, we can cross off as it is short stories. I can cross off the Water Them Lilies with plants because, as I said, it does have some horror in it. And one of the images that has stuck with me is in one of the stories, people have to cross a marsh to get to this cottage. And the marsh is full of roses. And when they get a good look at these roses, they're growing out of the eye sockets of skulls. And the eyes themselves are the middle of the roses themselves, who then try to twine around people's limbs and kill them. Some of this does take place in the woods and forest, because that is where you make your bargains with the strange women. So we can cross off, look at that view, woods and wilderness. So yeah, we are crossing off quite a lot of boxes now. So yeah, if you liked the sound of this book, please let me know down in the comments down below. I think it is already out. It is out on the 18th of July. I think when this goes up, it will be past that date. So I will link its Amazon down below and you can check out the book. It was an ARC, so I do have it on my Kindle, but I have put in an order for it to have it on my shelf as a trophy, which I do with a few of my ARCs, and you can see them down there. So if you like this video, click that like button, subscribe to my channel so you get updates when I upload a video, and as always, don't make strange bargains with strange women in strange woods. It will not go well for you.